Hello, welcome to this sixth tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how I prepare a text for uploading to OmegaT or any other cat platform. There's a few important tips that I'd like to show you. I'm going to use a sample from the eKangyur. And then I'm going to edit it using some regular expressions in a text editor. But just a note, if you are a 84,000 translator, I will prepare any Kangyur text for you by request. And I've also posted all of the suggested texts from the 2019 grant cycle. I've posted those all in the Cat Tools page that are all pre-prepared in this way that I'm about to show you. So you can do that if you're an 84,000 translator. But for everyone else, or if you want to learn this technique on your own, I'm going to step you through my process in this video now. So first of all, before we jump into the eKangyur, I want to point out if you're translating some Tibetan text that isn't from the Kangyur, that's from a Pecha or a PDF. I just want to point out, if you don't know already, there's this great website, dharmabook.ru/OCR, that does OCR, optical computer recognition for Tibetan. It's a really great resource. I'm not sure where these guys are located, but they do this great service for free. It's really awesome. You just go to their website and you attach a PDF, and then it takes like 10-15 minutes maybe, but then they emails you with the OCR, a Tibetan text input for whatever PDF you upload. So if it looks like this, they'll send you an input like this, so you can actually search it and upload it to a cat tool. Of course, OCR is never perfect, so you do have to go in afterwards and make corrections. It's going to misread a lot of characters, but it's a lot faster and more foolproof than just manually inputting a whole Pecha text. So just wanted to point that out in case you weren't aware of that. So it's a great resource. So, but let's look at the eKangyur, which has already been inputted in, and in the video notes, I'll put lots of links. Well, I'll link to this OCR site, but I'll also link to the eKangyur on the eKangyur GitHub page, which was created by Isukiya, and they did a really wonderful job here. And to access the eKangyur, you go to the GitHub page and you go to the text folder, and then you'll see all the volumes here. Let's just look at the first volume. You click on the volume, and then to see the actual file, you click on View Raw. And then you'll see the text like so. Now you can also access this on, like, you may be aware of the Vienna site, and you have, if you look up any text, this is just one text I looked up, and you can see the different editions, and usually always the Dege will have a link to the Adarsha site, the eText, and then the Lhasa version will have a link to the ACIP eText. So that's two other ways to obtain texts. I would note though that there's the Adarsha one. I took a look at this, and there are some problems with this input. There's something wrong with the way it's reading the script. So you're getting these extra spaces like here and here, and And I also notice when there's a nga and a final shay, it's not putting the tsek between them, although it is in the actual file. So, I mean, not a big deal, but if you want to be really precise, I'd recommend grabbing it directly from the GitHub source. So that's what we're going to do here in this video. I'm going to grab the, let's just take the first 10 folios. And then I'm just going to paste them into a text file, and then we're going to edit them with a editor. So I'll Control C and create a text file on the desktop. We'll call this eKangyur sample. And then I'll just paste it in here. And I'll save it. And I'll be sure to save it not with the ANSI, but with Unicode. I use UTF-8, that seems to work. And then we have the sample here. So now we need to edit this text using a text editor that allows for regular expression search and replace commands. So just like in the last video, I'm going to use Notepad++ because I'm using Windows. But once again, I recommend if you're running on a Mac to use Sublime Text. And once again, those links to where you can download those free applications are in the video notes. So in Windows, you can right-click and just go to Edit with Notepad, and it will open the file and should look like this. Actually, I think by default you won't see the word wrap and the show symbols. It'll initially look like this. And so what you want to do first is go to View, Word Wrap, so you can see everything. And then also go to Show Symbol and Show All Characters, because we want to be able to see the paragraph breaks. That's these CR stands for carriage return and LF stands for line feed. So these are all the paragraph breaks. And it also shows us the space characters. It's a little hard to see here, but there's a little orange dot. It doesn't get any bigger, but there's a little orange dot representing the actual space characters, so you can see that they're there. And so what are we going to do here? What needs to be prepared? This is just the raw text from the eKangyur. So the first thing, we want to remove all these paragraph breaks, these carriage returns. The reason being, these are the original, these are just placed at the original end of the line, end of each line from the original pecha. So they appear arbitrarily in the middle of sentences or phrases, and OmegaT or any cat platform is going to read these as paragraph breaks, and then it's going to segment the text at these kind of arbitrary, inconvenient points in the segment. So we just want to get rid of those. And then the second thing I want to do is get rid of all of these line references. Now the actual page references, like the 1b and the 2a, these are useful. I want to keep these because I want to know how to reference the text in case I need to make a citation, or if I need to check the original PDF, I'll know where to look. But it's too much to have every line break like this. So all these references with the decimal points followed by a number, I want to get rid of all of those and just leave the page references. And then finally, the last thing I want to do is, or the final step is, I want to move these references. They're actually in a bit of an inconvenient place. Let me open OmegaT so I can show you an example. In this text I previously set up, I first put all the folio references as their own segment. So when I'm translating this, I can just copy the source to the target since it's just the reference. But I don't want them to be included in my actual translation, in my segments to be translated, because first of all, that's going to affect the translation memories. It's going to make the TMs less useful because it will have these extra characters, which will interfere with my fuzzy matching. And second, these page breaks also appear in arbitrary points in the middle of phrases, and see, like this one, 2A, it's not appearing after a shay, it's appearing in the middle of this this segment here. And so I basically want to move this 2A reference to the beginning of the last segment. So I want to move this right here, right before this last shay. And I want to move this 2B. I want to move it back here to the beginning of the last shay. So we're going to do all of these, arrange all of these with search and replace commands using regular expressions. So in the video notes, I've attached a text file that shows you all of the search and replace commands we're going to do. So even if you don't understand how regular expressions work, you can just follow these steps, and it should, if you're using the eKangyur raw text files, it should set it up in the exact same way. But I'll just explain each command as we go through them. So as I mentioned, the first step is going to be to remove these carriage returns, these paragraph breaks. And so we're going to first search for \r is a carriage return and \n is the line feed. So we're going to copy this, and we're going to replace it with nothing. So from Notepad++, we'll do Control F, and then we'll go to the Replace tab. Make sure the search mode, it might be on normal by default, so make sure it's the regular expression is checked. And then we're going to search for \r \n and replace with nothing. Make sure there's not even a space in this replace with box here. And then let's find next, just so we can make sure it's working. And yeah, it's just highlighting those line breaks. So we'll go ahead and replace all, and looks good. We removed all of those. So what's the next step? The next step is to remove all the folio line references, and just the lines, not the, we want to keep the page folio reference. So we're going to search for this code, and again replace it with nothing. So to explain this code here, it looks a little more complicated, but I'll just go through it quickly. Bracket is the character to find a bracket, because the bracket itself is a special code in regex, in regular expressions. But so that finds an actual bracket. \d finds any number character, so 0 through 9, and then the plus makes it a greedy match, so it will pick out a big number, because sometimes it's a single digit, sometimes it's a 10 2-digit number, sometimes it's like 100, so we want to find all of those, and so the plus will find any size of number. Then these brackets here with the A, B, it says to search for either A or B, because some of the folio references are side A and some are side B. Backslash period is to find a period, because the period by itself is a special code, so this is to find an actual period. Backslash D, find another number. As you recall, all the line references have a period and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 for the line number. So that will find the line number, and then here's the closing bracket. So this will find just the line references, but it won't select the page references because it has this extra decimal here. So we'll do copy, and I'll Control F, replace, find what, find this, and replace again with nothing. So let's make sure it's finding those. Looks like it's working well. So we'll click again at the beginning of the document and replace all. And that looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks like it got them all. And so now step 3, we're going to find all of these folio references and then move them to the beginning of the previous shay. So like this 2A, we want it to move it over here. So to do that, we'll go to the next step. Step 3, move all folio references to the beginning of the last segment and add paragraph markers. So we're going to search for this and replace for this code here. This one's a bit complicated as well. Backslash S is a space, so each segment begins with a space. And then backslash capital S with a plus, this is any non-space character. And it is a greedy match, so it will match as many characters as it can until it gets to a square bracket. And this is the code for those folio references. It's the square bracket, and then a number, and then A or B, and then the closing bracket. Now notice that these 2 bits of code are contained in parentheticals. And what that is in regular expressions, that's a token marker. So it's going to take whatever data it finds here and put it into a token, and then we can rearrange those tokens when we replace. So we're going to replace with \r\n, that's the carriage return and line feed, so basically a paragraph break. And then $2 is the code for the second token, which is this second token in our search command. So this is the folio reference. So it's going to separate this folio reference with a paragraph break on each side. And then it will put $1, the first token reference. So this is that snippet of text from the previous segment. So that's how it's going to work. Even if that doesn't make sense, if you just copy and paste these codes exactly, it should work fine. So we'll copy this search, Control F, replace, find what, find this, and then replace with what? Replace with, replace with this code here. And then let's click at the beginning. Once again, let's double check to make sure it's highlighting the right sections. It looks pretty good. And let's click at the beginning again and replace all. And yeah, that looks pretty good. It's let me zoom out a little bit. So it's breaking them off nicely into nice pages, and and separating them and moving them to the beginning of the previous segment. So like this 3b, we can see that the shay of the first line comes right here. But notice it did miss one. It missed this 2b. Why is that? Well, this one, unlike the other folio references, it already was in a convenient place at the end of a shay. And so because there is a space character here, it was not picked up by our regular expression. So we're going to do one last search and replace. This is step 4. Move the final folio refs that contain an initial space to the beginning of the last segment and add a paragraph marker. Actually, they're already at the beginning of the last segment, so maybe I'll just say I'll just delete this here. Move, yeah. I'll edit that in the final thing, that instruction in the final export. But an important note, at the beginning of this is the search string we're going to use to find those. But in this code right here, there is a invisible space character right here. And we need to include that in the search code, because otherwise regular expressions will read the paragraph breaks as a space, and that will actually it will pick up all those previous the folio refs that we already corrected, and will correct them again, which we don't want. So make sure that you include this actual space, and usually we'd use a \s, but we can't use that in this case because it'll pick up the paragraph breaks. So copy this, Control F, replace, and I make sure I got that initial space there. And then let's look at the code again. Replace with this. Oops. Control C. Control V. And let's make sure it finds. Yep, I found it. And replace all. And beautiful, it's all set up, ready to go. So we can save it here. And then if you just open it in the regular text editor, it looks really nice. So we can paste that into a Word file or just upload it to OmegaT just as it is. So that's it for this video. Oh, one thing you might want to delete the some initial bits at the beginning if you like to clean those up. Like that was the Tohoku number that we don't necessarily need. And then it's ready to go. So thanks for checking it out. Also, in the video notes, I'll leave a link to a guide for regular expressions in case you want to learn more. Thanks. Bye.